Hello, and welcome to this episode 12, Breaking Bad Habits podcast. And today we are going to be exploring bad habits. Bad habits. Many people will say, hey, I have bad habits. Maybe a bad habit, maybe bad habits, but it is really one of the most common terms that I hear a lot of people judge upon themselves. Now, bad habits are all about having some sort of action that has negative consequences. And those negative consequences could be to your physical body, could be to your emotional body, could be to your mental body, judgment, could be just to how you connect with life. And so today, let us explore how to break away from bad habits and move into a life of being self-empowered, worthy, free, and whole. Let's go. Hello and welcome to the Mattain by Manal show, where together we explore all things human that ultimately are blocking you from attaining the life that you desire. We are in the month of May, where we've been exploring all things physical. We talked about the physical body and self-image. We talked about body image. Last week, we talked about eating, eat to love. And now we're going to be exploring bad habits. One of the things that bad habits is blocking is anxiety. So bad habits are a coping mechanism for people that don't acknowledge their anxiety. So go to my website, www.mattain.me/anxiety, and download my mini course, 10 Steps to Letting Go of Anxiety. So excited to see you there. So let us talk about bad habits. What are bad habits? What are bad habits? Bad habits are actions that are negative. They have negative consequences. So why do we continue with bad habits? Whole bunch of reasons, but let's start to explore. Let's take the 5 steps and break it down. Let's just start with step 1. Step 1 is always awareness. Awareness. So let's look at a bad habit. And biting nails is such an easy one to look at because and a bad habit can actually have small consequences or it can have major consequences. So from a egoic level, from being aware of a bad habit, let's look at how we identify with that habit. I am a nail biter is a way of identifying with a bad habit. I am anything that's anything from then I am, keeps you attached to that identity. So the first step with the bad habit is recognizing, calling something a bad habit and labeling and identifying with that bad habit is the number one way to remain and keep that bad habit. I can't, a belief of not being able to break away from that habit, is another perfect way that will keep you from growing apart from that bad habit. So the 2 first things that it offers to shift is an awareness of the attachment to that bad habit and a belief that you cannot grow or change those bad habits. And with either of those 2, breaking and stopping a bad habit, I would say, is impossible. So let's offer our first awareness as we discover today how to break away from bad habits of shifting from labeling the bad habit and just recognizing that it's an action. And it might be a conditioned action. And because of the repetition of it, that you might indulge in it. And what we're going to do is break away from things that don't feel good and start to have activities that feel good. And let's also identify with the I can't and recognize that you are a powerful being. We all are. And that you can. I think I can. If you think you can, then you can. If you think you can't, think again. So that will be our overarching theme for letting go of any bad habit. So a identification with that bad habit, We're going to let go of any attachments and thinking that we can't. So that's number one, the awareness, the egoic level. We can, and I am. Next up, let's talk about the mental level. If you have a bad habit, you're judging it. You're judging something as bad. And likely, not just that activity as bad, that activity is a proxy for you. So you are bad. And you are a proxy for life. So life is bad. So whatever judgment that you're holding about that habit is actually a proxy to the judgment that you hold towards yourself and towards life. So instead of seeing a habit now as bad, now let's see it as a very empowering way to shift the way that you see and you feel and you think and you believe about yourself and life. This habit now becomes very empowering because it's a very small, if it has a small impact on you, if it has a larger impact, it might be more significant. So if the bad habit is drug or alcohol or something bigger, then maybe that's called an addiction, not a bad habit. I feel like with habit, then the subtle subconscious definition is that it's not a major significant, but it could be significant. But it's a conduit for you to learn about yourself and the judgments that you hold on yourself and the judgments that you hold on life. So you can break away from those judgments on life and on yourself by using a habit as that tool. That's really, really powerful. So let's use this bad habit of a way of empowering yourself to living a full life. So on the emotional level, that bad habit might be eliciting shame. It could be eliciting hiding from anger, from sadness. There's that it's a coping mechanism, and it's coping on the emotional level. So you have the opportunity to explore, how do I feel when I'm doing that bad habit? And how do I feel about myself and about life? And using that habit rather than as a coping mechanism, as an anxious habit, which anxiety is a fear that I don't acknowledge. We explored that a lot in the earlier podcasts. We use this habit as a door to open an awareness to fears that you hold about yourself and about your body and about life. Then it becomes very, very powerful. And then for the action, the bad habit is usually a physical action. So with nail biting, how does that feel? And are there physical pain? Like, do you have pain? Do you have infections? What is it that's creating from this bad habit? How's your physical body feeling? So this is an awareness that ultimately that this habit is making you not feel good on the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, and the egoic level, on the egoic body. So now we want to break away from this habit. So we recognize, okay, this habit has an opportunity for me to understand, have a greater, wider lens of my understanding of myself and of life. So what is this habit? What is it guiding me towards understanding? So that's step 2, which is acknowledgement. So step 1, we walk through becoming aware in the 4 bodies, the egoic body, the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body. And then step 2, we'll look at what is it that I desire? What is undesired as part of the awareness? What is it that I desire? With a bad habit, I don't feel good enough. I'm not good enough. So what is it that I desire? I desire to feel worthy. We talked a lot about this during the self-image and body image. We want to feel worthy. That I do this bad habit and it's self-deprecating and I feel really, really bad or guilty or shame, anger. And what is it that I want? I want to feel good. I want to feel good. I want to feel worthy. And maybe I feel out of control. What do I want to feel? I want to feel free. So the bad habit is actually super powerful because it is pointing you to a desire of one, two, or all three of the unconditional three. So when you start to recognize that this cycle of physical activity is eliciting an emotion and a thought and a belief that's pointing you towards a desire to calibrate to worthiness, to freedom, and to love and happiness, it's really powerful. And now you can have a lens of seeing this bad habit is actually an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to expand, an opportunity for self-awareness, an opportunity to be better. Isn't that empowering? Isn't that great? And we shifted now to step 3, which is appreciation. That intrinsically, if you understand that any habit is here to allow you to, and every experience, every event is here to allow you to calibrate to understanding your full worthiness and your full freedom and your full happiness, then you start to see, ooh, here's an opportunity for growth. Ooh, here's an opportunity for me to expand. Ooh, here's an opportunity for me to see nail biting as a way for me to recognize, oh, I'm looking for happiness. Oh, I am not under control and I am actually free. Oh, I'm actually worthy. I don't need to hurt myself. I don't need to cope by biting because I recognize it and I align with the truth and the wholeness of who I am. And maybe I'm oversimplifying, but when you get to the root cause of recognizing that every action is guiding you towards the unconditional 3, I believe it's very empowering because you got to the root cause of why you're performing a physical action that is reoccurring with negative consequences, because it's a small physical way to guide you back to calibrating to truth, to the beauty of your truth. So once you start to become aware of your 4 bodies and recognize what is that you desire, the unconditional 3, and you appreciate, truly appreciate, not intellectually, not through your mind, but through your body, that there is a shift and an acknowledgement and awareness that that bad habit actually isn't a bad habit. It's just an opportunity for growth. It's another point in the journey to allow you to understand yourself and calibrate internally rather than externally. Really, really empowering. And so now what you can do is let go. And let's create some intentions. Let's create the intention that nothing's a bad habit. That just by virtue of labeling it a bad habit is it becomes one. That everything is just actions and reactions. And that you are empowered to act in ways that empower you and that guide you towards alignment. I am. So step 1 is the first intention. Let's create the intention that we're not going to label. We're just going to accept and we're going to allow. Let's create the intention to we're not going to use our mind to judge ourselves. We're going to use our minds to accept ourselves, to allow. We're going to use our mind to become aware of the sensations from the 4 bodies and to accept them and to understand them and to let go of things that aren't serving and helping me calibrate to my happiness. We're going to create the intention to honor all of our feelings, our emotions, and recognizing that any habits that we have adopted are ways to cope with not connecting with how we feel emotionally. And allow our hearts to open up towards compassion towards ourselves and towards the human journey, and recognizing that everything that we're learning is to guide us to have a stronger, more empowering emotional journey. And then lastly, we're going to start to recognize that our physical bodies are amazing. And that when we're in alignment with our egoic body and our mental body and our emotional body and our physical body, we feel good. And we're going to stop allowing our bodies to be a tool of control of the mind, and instead try to find harmony between the four bodies and allowing our physical journey to feel good, because that's the intention. And so choosing actions that lead to feeling good. And when there are actions that lead to maybe negative consequences, just gently becoming aware and just calibrating back to an action that feels good, but through awareness, through compassion, through care, through I can do, through I am worthy, through I am capable, through I am free, through I am happy. So bad habits are another way, another form of life to teach us how to calibrate back to the fullness of life. By virtue of labeling something bad, we make it bad. Nothing is bad. None of your actions are bad, even if they end up with negative consequences, even if they're repeated, because they're here to teach you to calibrate back to your worthiness, your freedom, and your love. And so when you recognize and take each moment for what it is and not create projections of past moments and to label them and to attach to them, but to accept yourself for who you are and for the actions that you are, you come into a place of compassion and self-understanding and empowerment and alignment. And those bad habits will fall away. And you'll start to make choices, physical choices, that align with your emotional well-being, your mental well-being, and your spiritual well-being. So I hope that today that you've gained some insight, that you recognize that everything is good. There is nothing bad. That you are an amazing being, spiritual being in a physical body, and every experience is guiding you back to the unconditional three, your full worthiness, your full freedom, and your full sense of love and happiness. That's something that you called habit. It's just a habit in itself. And by letting go and shifting just the aspect of calling it that, identifying with that, attaching to that, and the belief that you can't is the number one quickest way to letting go of anything, any activity that you do not want to perform because it does not bring you joy. Make choices that bring you joy. And when you make choices that don't bring you joy, just question why. And in that why will be a recognition of a lack of worthiness or a feeling of not free and control and a feeling of lack of happiness. And then that's a beautiful tool to guide you back to the wholeness of who you are. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast and you enjoyed the insight and enjoyed the journey. The Mattain by Manal show is all about attaining the life that you desire. And we go through all aspects of life to find truth so you can live the life that you desire. I hope that you continue to follow me. Follow me on YouTube, on Insight Timer, on Instagram. Come to my website, sign up to my newsletters. Go and try out my mini course, www.mattain.me/anxiety, to learn more. 10 steps of letting go of anxiety. And anxiety is one of the major things that create these proxy bad habits. And when you start to become aware of your egoic body, your mental body, your emotional body, and your physical body, and allow them all and calibrate back to places of joy and pleasure and happiness, everything that you've taken seriously starts to become easy, and you recognize that life can be enjoyed. That's what we're all about. So glad you're here. Leave a comment. So excited to see you in all my different venues. My love, always.